North Korea, they're about to launch something. What are we going to do about North Korea? What should we do about it?
I think we should be very worried. My good friend and co-author Bill Fortune wrote a book called 1 Second After, which is a novel about what happens with an electromagnetic pulse attack. There's no question that the newest kind of nuclear weapons right at the right altitude could eliminate all electricity production in the United States, which includes your car. It would mean that basically we would go back to a pre-industrial era overnight, in seconds. It's a very serious threat. I don't think North Korea should be allowed to launch missiles. I think we should take whatever preemptive actions are necessary. The idea that we're going to suddenly be shocked one morning because one of these missiles has a nuclear weapon and does something that dramatically changes America, I think is a very dangerous idea, and I find it very difficult to watch the U.S. government be passive as the North Korean dictatorship continues to develop its capacity to deliver nuclear weapons.
How did we get to this point? I mean, we were speaking to them, we were talking for a while, but now, you know, they've got this on the launch pad.
Greta, I don't want to sound too bold, but whether it's Hamas in Gaza, it's the Iranians and their nuclear program, it's the North Koreans and their nuclear program and missiles, we in the West, in the democracies, have a propensity to lie to ourselves, just as we did in the 1930s about Adolf Hitler and about Nazism. And I think we have been kidding ourselves. The North Koreans have been steadily working towards this capacity. The Iranians are laughing at us as they continue to build more and more centrifuges to build the capacity for nuclear weapons. Hamas laughs at us as they continue to fire missiles into Israel, while Israel gets blamed for responding. These are real enemies, and in the long run, sooner or later, we're going to have to recognize that changing the regime is the only way to change the behavior, because these dictatorships are not going to change of their own. I don't care how long we talk to them. And I think the Obama idea of respecting them and being courteous to them and communicating with them, it implies that they're fools. Kim Jong-il knows exactly what he's doing.
We have 1 minute left.
The idea of allowing the North Koreans to launch missiles is an enormously dangerous threat in the long run, and it'll never be true until the morning it is, and then it'll be just like 9/11, and people will say, gosh, why didn't we think of this? And Bill Fortune's book, 1 Second After, which has, by the way, been endorsed by a number of nuclear physicists, is technically exactly right, should really worry any American about what we're watching.
According to a report from the National Academy of Sciences, full recovery of the infrastructure could take up to 10 years. And it's not just major urban areas that are affected.
What happens in a typical small town the day after, 1 second after an EMP event?
Author Bill Fortune decides to find out. He convinces his neighbors in the small town of Black Mountain, North Carolina, to stage their own electromagnetic pulse disaster exercise.
Hey, come back! I'm dead.
They anticipate that cars with microchips and fuel injectors will fail.
Sorry, are you okay?
And pepper the street with a few older models they know will still run.
Hey, why is his car still working?
Bob Miller comes riding up here in his old car, and he's coming up the street, and a bunch of other people don't like it. His car runs and theirs don't. I mean, that's going to happen.
In all the emergency events that we've dealt with over the years, we always knew that it was going to be a short window that we were going to have to operate in. In this event, I think that's one of the key components that we do need to be focused on, is we have no idea what the time frame is going to be before resources are able to come in, and that's all going to depend on how big of an area that this actually affected.
Around Highland Farm, I think they added some water up here.
It's nearly impossible for first responders to predict a time frame, because without electricity, how do you rebuild an electrical society?
Within a matter of days, you're going to have perhaps tens, maybe hundreds of millions of people on the road looking for water, looking for food, looking for shelter.
More than cars, more than airplanes, more than the internet. An EMP will knock out the food and water supply. Then what? Within days, supplies run out. And people leave their homes in a desperate search for food.
The simulation that was going on up there was to give out food and to give out water. We had a water supply. We had a creek that was coming in, and we have a small lake up there. So we had a built-in water source.
Okay, 1 gallon per family. There you go. Take that back to your mommy and daddy, okay? Hi, everybody. Thanks, Tom. How's the chlorine levels?
Some purification could be done to that, to a natural resource that already existed.
How are we doing on water?
Need some water.
Okay, can we go back to the stream and get some more water, guys? Thanks.
What seems to be going on with you?
Within 5 to 10 days, because of water pollution and sanitation issues, you will have millions of people falling ill from gastrointestinal illnesses.
We need to get a body tent, get some bottles on her.
And I could foresee a scenario where the town says, look, we have 5,000 people. We only have enough food to feed us all for 30 days.
All right.
How many?
Over here, 2 lines. 2 lines. How many in the family?
3.
3. Right. 1.
If we open up and let the 50,000 people coming in on the interstates walking into our town, we now only have enough food for 3 or 4 days, and then we all starve together. Do you want to make those choices?
It is a dual dilemma. The technology that makes us so powerful may ultimately be our Achilles heel. Without electronics, infrastructures grind to a halt, and civilization as we know it ends. Now that you know what is vulnerable and what isn't, what will you do?